Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. Before we get into it, make sure you rate, review, subscribe, all of the things. And if you didn't know, we are also on YouTube. So you can, see a video of me looking at you and you looking at me. So I am definitely decked out in all the fall things. I don't know why, but our house, we might need to turn off the AC because I am freezing. This morning, I was out and about, out in the sun, soaking it up these last few weeks of summer. It felt so good. And I got home, I was like, oh my gosh, my house is a little chilly, but I'm worried to turn the AC off completely and then it be hot and I can't sleep at night. But I pulled out my little Ugg dupes. I have socks on and they're fuzzy lined. I have a nice cozy shirt on top of my t-shirt. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I'm going to sit down and record, I'm going to need to be cozy because my office is also one of the coldest rooms in the house. I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to be super chilly. So I'm bundled up. I'm definitely in the fall vibe, the fall mindset, if you will. And you know what? I'm okay with that. This past week, I dabbled in the pumpkin thing. So I made pumpkin pecan muffins that were really, really good. They had a pecan sugar crumble on top. They were really, really amazing. Definitely added that to my recipe book. And then I also made a blueberry latte with pumpkin cold foam. And let me tell you, that was also really, really good. So I'm in the pumpkin feeling. I'm in the pumpkin season, the fall, the harvest. And I do have sad news to say that over Labor Day weekend, my pumpkins died. I'm so sad, guys. I only have 2 vines left. Everything else has shriveled up and it honestly, it is really, really sad. Maybe my 2 vines will produce and we will still have pumpkins, but it's not looking too hot, to be honest. And I'm going to probably have to buy pumpkins, but that's okay. We still have some time to get there to do those things. But the house is cold. I'm feeling a little chilly. Maybe after recording this podcast, I'll head outside. I will get cozied up and all the things. But honestly, this week was really, really good. Especially after having the reset of last weekend and it was a shorter week. I definitely enjoyed that. And so last weekend when I was up at my parents', we came home on Sunday and we brought a little visitor, or I guess a new addition to the farm. So last year, Lily showed a heifer in the county fair. She was also the Bremer County fair queen, and so she was doing all the fair things as she should, and she showed a heifer and wasn't sure what she was going to do after that. So her cow has just been moseying around the farm, eating, munching, doing all the things. But at the Bremer County Fair, they don't do a sale for the students. So you have to either privately sell it or keep it if you want to replenish your herd. And Lily just didn't want to have her cow go to butcher. So she's been trying to convince my parents that she wants keep her and things, but Lily is off to college, right? She is a college gal and this cow is not going to fit in her dorm room. So we finally got it arranged because last year she was well, I just figured, Logan would take it for her farm because if you don't know, I do live on a farm. And so she's well, I just figured Logan would take it. And the arrangement of trying to get it fine, it took a whole year, but we were able to successfully transport Miss Agatha to our farm, and like we honestly like leaving early Sunday because we wanted to make sure. No, I'm sorry, we left late afternoon when it started to cool down, and I really wanted to leave Monday morning, but we left Sunday, which was sad, because of course, like, I don't want to say goodbye to my parents, but we brought her down and introduced her to her new friends, her other cow friends. So that honestly was kind of fun. And we can hand feed our cows like with our palm. And we had a few early fall calvers start. And so this past week, like I said, we brought Agatha to the farm, and then I was riding around with my little brother, and we were watching a couple cows calve, because it's starting to be that time for a fall calf. And one of the calves wasn't able to latch properly, so I had a bottle calf for a couple days, which was fun. And then we ended up being able to match it with a nurse cow. So I had to say goodbye to my little friend, but honestly, like, being outside and just slowing down the last couple of weeks has been really just nice for my entire like mind and body, to be honest. I feel like I am savoring moments, and that sounds so weird, but as I was driving, I was like so grounded in the moment. I was like looking at the trees, looking at the road, and being really appreciative of where I'm at. And same goes for like checking cows with Brody, or looking and feeding this bottle calf, or any of the things. And just like being outside has always like filled my cup. And I am gonna be a little sad, of course, when it comes winter and it's harder to get outside, but there is something so magical in the air, and I am just like soaking it all up. Part of me wonders if it's like just really notifying that this is the end of summer. It's the end of an era. And I feel like this summer was a really good one. I had so much fun. I feel like my like mental health has been at its all-time high. Like, I know a lot of us were struggling in 2020. I know that I was, and like looking back in a retrospect and just thinking, oh my gosh, like we've come so far, we've done so much, and being able to appreciate all the people who have like came into my life this past summer, and the different season that we're going into, like being appreciative of like what all has happened. And it's been like a really full, abundant summer, and I'm excited to go into fall, excited to go into December. There are so many new starts happening right now. In December, I've talked about it before, but like my sister-in-law is getting married, and in December, like one of my sisters is having a baby, and my Garrett's cousin had a baby like this past week. And so that was really exciting to be able to welcome like that new addition to our family. And Brody going into his sophomore year. Like, I know school has been started for a month now, but like he has his driver's license, his permit. Okay. And he showed me his permit this past weekend, and just thinking, oh my gosh, like there are so many beautiful things budding and starting, even though summer is coming to an end. Because if we think about summer, it's like the hustle and bustle. It's like when things are growing, when things are happening. And like knowing that even though we're going into the fall, even in the winter, that doesn't mean that everything is going to stop, right? And I think sometimes we can hold too tightly on the present, or what has been part of our routine. There has been so many mornings that I've woken up in bed and thought, oh my gosh, like today's another beautiful day. I get to wake up, and like my sleep has been really good for the past like couple months. And so just being so grounded in the present and thinking this is awesome. But also like there's a part of me that kind of knows that things are shifting, and there's going to be new beginnings and new starts and new things. This morning, because it was like cooler out, I did shut off the AC just for like an hour and a half, 2 hours this morning. When I first woke up and brewed my cup of coffee, I put the dogs out, and because I had a bottle calf this week, I actually put it in our outdoor pen for the dogs. I just like popped the calf in there because I knew I'd be able to bottle feed it, and so I knew when I put the dogs in there that they would sense that there was another animal in there, right? Because I didn't have the dogs and the cow together. But the little baby calf was in there, and it was so funny watching them like be so alert and like sniff around and like true detective work. Okay, so they're going around in the pen, and while they were outside, like they do not like the vacuum at all. So I always try to like make sure that they're outside while I'm vacuuming, because they literally try to fight the vacuum. It's unreal. But I popped them outside, and then I opened up the doors, I opened up the windows, and just like the cool air felt so good. And it must have like activated something in my body, because I was like, all right, like I started opening cabinets, and I love to do a routine like cleanup. I always switch out my clothes between like spring and summer to fall and winter. I pull down my totes, and I have my sweaters that I pull out, and then I put away my sundresses. I've talked about this many times, but I just think that it's a great way to out of sight, out of mind. You forget what you have, and then you're much more appreciative of it when you get it back. And so like I do that routinely. And when I pack away my clothes for the next season, I'm always checking like, hey, was this an outfit that I like to wear? Did I wear it often? Or was this something that like I didn't wear at all this season? Which sometimes happens, like where you buy something and you're like, I'm going to use this, and then you never use it. And instead of like beating yourself up about it, like, oh, I wasted money, or like spent time, energy on collecting this thing or moving this thing or cleaning up after this thing, if you can just like softly release it and know that it like served its purpose in the time that it was in your life, right? Like that little bit of joy from when you like purchased it, or when you brought it home, or when you showed it off, and then like just being able to like move on from it. So I always try to do that with my clothing. But this morning I was like, okay, it's been a while since I've gone in the kitchen. It's been a while since I have torn apart our cabinets. Not really, just I pull everything out. And sometimes like when you are in the routine of your life, you like put things away or where it's convenient, right? Like you might have this plan of, okay, this drawer is for this thing. This cabinet is for this thing. And then once you get going, you realize that it's not convenient to pull it out, right? Like it's not in a space that you can reach for super easy, right? Our silverware is to the middle of the kitchen, right? Like if I am at the sink, unloading the dishes, I have the drawer right there. If I'm at the island and I need to pull out a fork for our supper, it's right there. Like that location of the drawer is perfect. It like I can utilize it in comparison to something that I don't use as often, like our crock pots. I don't normally use our crock pots in the summer. Like I put them in a shelf that's like closer to our pantry, because when I pull it out, like that's most likely where it's going to go. It's going to go underneath my my counters, and I'll be able to have like whatever I'm cooking in the crock pot. So just having like super simple but impactful places where you're putting things can be so handy. But like you might have the intention that this is going to be like a convenient way to use an item, and it needs to be rethought out. It needs to be reconfined. So I was looking through our cabinets and I was thinking, you know what, like there was a few things in there that I've not utilized, right? And I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to pack this in a box and I'm going to donate it. And I assigned Garrett our spare bedroom because that's where a lot of his like hobby things are. I was like, okay, you go into your spare bedroom and see what you can purge, see what you can get rid of. So he went in there and he found a box. Actually, it was a wedding gift, and it has it's like labeled jars for spices, and we got it as a wedding gift, but I've never used it because we have we have all of our spices, but I don't necessarily like put them in glass jars. Like I don't rebottle our spices, if that makes sense. So I'm like, here is something that we literally we have never used these spice containers. And I'm like, you know what? I need to donate those as well. So I was pulling everything out of our cabinets and I was like, it is time. It is time. We are going into a new season. And it seems like so minuscule to think that clearing out your space or reorganizing your cabinets or purging some clothes that you haven't worn for a while, it seems trivial, right? Like, oh, it's just stuff. But it quite literally is a huge mindset shift when you can think about, all right, if I can get rid of this thing, if I can be more efficient with my time, with my storage, where I'm not dusting around this thing that I never use or keeping a book that I never want to read again, right? Like when we can have the mindset of how can we make it more impactful to our life? And if it doesn't have any value, like, can we get rid of it? Because someone else's trash is always can be someone else's treasure. So I was going through all my cabinets. I was cleaning, I was vacuuming, mopping, all of the things. And it truly feels so good to like have a clean house. And let's get into it. My peak and my pit of my week. So my peak of the week was on Saturday. I had a super fun gathering with one of my friends. She hosted a paint and sip night. So she had bunch of girls over and we painted, it was like this abstract peaches, super cute. And it was a blast. I was able to just like settle in and use my brain. If you listen to last week's episode, I talked about my September goals and having at 6:30, I'm putting away my iPad, I'm putting away my computer, I'm putting away my cell phone, and I am fully immersed in a hobby. Whichever hobby I want. It can be going outside, it can be running around, it can be sewing. I have so many hobbies. I mean, I truly have a lot of things that I could be doing with my time. And when I look back, I don't want to think, oh my gosh, what did I do with that time? I want to feel productive in a way. And I always like think about, okay, do I want to be a person who's on my like cell phone all the time? And I like want to be able to like set it down and not feel like addicted or so attached. So strengthening my other hobbies or the things that I like to do, I know is going to be really impactful. And here's the thing. It is the like putting the phone down that's the hardest part. Like it is so fun to have my hobbies. It's so fun to be creative and interactive. And it's just like all right, this is the definitive. We are putting the phone up and we're doing something else. And I think having a 6:30 time will be really good. And of course, like there's going to be some days where I need my cell phone to like go hang out with friends, right? But I'm not going to be on my phone. Like it might get me there for directions, but I'm not scrolling on my phone, right? And so this past Saturday, we painted, and that is a hobby that I've always painted some, right? Like my mom was a school teacher. We always had crafts. We always had things to do. And we would paint, right? Like we were very creative. Was it good? No. But, it's using your brain, it's being creative. And I have like acrylic paints here, right? Like at my home. And last December in January, I was painting and I was having a lot of fun with that, but it's been a while since I've painted anything. So being able to like sit with friends, right? We had charcuterie and wine, and then of course, like a wonderful playlist. But getting together with friends always fills my cup. I'm able to like converse and talk and chat and share ideas, which is so much fun. I also like build upon other people's energy. And even if I'm feeling like a little tired, I'm like, okay, let's go. And Hannah does a wonderful job with like hosting. Her home is so beautiful. And she has so many like super, super cute Halloween items. I'm like, oh my gosh, like her, she had like some spooky cats and some pumpkins, and it is some of the vintage items that it's not, it's more, not practical is not the word. Sturdy might be the word. It's something that you can pass down generation to generation. Heirloom items that are good quality and super, super cute and are not going to go out of trend. And that is something that I personally like try to look for. Like when I'm decorating my home, I think, okay, like what is going to be utilized? What's going to be able to be passed down? What's going to be like something I'm able to keep forever? And so I love going into her home. It's so cute. And she's, like I said, just a wonderful host. I did meet like a new friend, which was awesome. And my painting, I will say this, my painting did not turn out half bad. Like our paints, we all agreed, were not as nice as the gal on the TV, or maybe our creative ability was not as good as the girl on YouTube who was showing us. I think we were doing like a bubbly, or I think the handle was like Bubbly and Paints or something on YouTube. But we were watching like step by step, and we had like a card table, and 4 of us were at a card table, and then 2 were at the counter. And so one of my very, very good friends, Alexis, was behind me. Like I wasn't able to like see what she was doing. She was behind me, and we're following along. It's like, okay, like paint a abstract kind of like watercolor background situation, and then it's paint a circle and paint 1 more, and then paint 3, and then we paint the stem, and then we add the shapes. And I was so caught up in my own paper that Alexis, she like was talking about her painting, and I turned around to look at it, and it was not what I was expecting at all. One might say that it was interesting, and maybe not per the tutorial of the peaches. And I cackled. I could not stop laughing because one, Alexis is so sweet, and she tries so hard. But she showed me, she's like, what? Like, it's good. It's not good, my friends. Oh my gosh. It was completely not what I was expecting. But instead of like a peach shape, it was more like pumpkins and like lots of vines, but the vines were all hatched. It was beautiful. It was stunning. It was something. And I could not stop laughing. You know, when you were a kid and you were in school and your friends like, or maybe like someone you thought was so cute said a little joke like in the classroom and you could not stop laughing, or your like friends had an inside joke and it was like so funny. And even when people were like, be quiet, be like, shh, like you shouldn't be laughing. No, I could not stop laughing. I started crying. It was just, it was super, super funny, but it was not what I was expecting. I was like, oh my gosh. But and I told her this, it was like, oh, a train had gone off the rails. Like it was so fun. And thinking about laughter and thinking about connection, like human connection is so important. Having a community is so important. Having people that you can call and talk to at any time, at any day is so important. And so as I go into my adulthood of just like finding those important connections, finding those people who get you, who are kind, who are welcoming. Like I love to connect with open-minded people who are just like so kind. Like kindness really goes a long way, and to just like be with people who want to laugh, who want to have fun. And honestly, this weekend was a full weekend, and so we'll move into my pit. So my pit, it's not really a pit, but I did not have any time to like clean my kitchen. Thus, like this Sunday, I was like, this morning I need to clean my kitchen. But Friday night, I had a happy hour with some of the Golden Gals of my social club, and I had a blast there. Oh my gosh, like the PBR was happening in Kansas City, so they were like blocked downtown and things. I parked usually where I park, but I noticed the sign, it said event parking $50, but parking my truck in like off the plaza can be difficult. It can be challenging. And with like so many roads being blocked off for the PBR, I was like, probably just have to pay $50. But we went to No Other Pub in Casey and went in there during the happy hour. I didn't realize that they had happy hour meal items. They had a massive pretzel for like $5 and then loaded nachos with a protein for $6. Are you kidding me? I did get a Coke with lime as my beverage because you know what? I'm trying to avoid alcohol, like if I can help it, right? Like I only drink if it's a special occasion or if I want to, or if it's because like the beverage is so good. But for me, like a seltzer is not like, or a beer maybe, but honestly, like I just didn't feel like drinking. So I had a Coke with lime, and my total, guys, it was $14. That's insane. That is insane. And plus with the PBR happening, there really wasn't that many people in the restaurant. It was like super chill, super nice. And I really enjoyed it. There was, I think 6 or 7 of us, and we had a blast. We were talking, we were giggling, we were talking about career goals. Yeah, we were talking about like where we wanted to be. One of my friends has recently, she got let go, and so she was like, yep, I had an interview, I got a job this week, I'm looking for my second job as I like hunt for my perfect job. She had gotten one at like the Lucky brand, and she was like finding other things, and she's like, yeah, so I'm gonna do this in the meantime, but in reality I want to be like in an advertising agency and like talking about that. So that's always fun. Like I love hearing about where people's like careers are going and what they want to be doing. And then we were talking about new reality shows, and this is why this is a pit, because I like Friday night stayed up so late. I got home at like midnight and I crawled into bed. I was so tired. The next day I knew that I had to teach yoga class. And then after yoga later that evening, I had the paint and sip with Hannah. And then this Sunday I had a pickleball meetup, which was a lot of fun. I love pickleball. We'll get into that. But on Saturday, as I was driving to Hannah's house, I texted Garrett. I was like, I wish I would have cleaned my house on Friday. I wish I was like settled on the couch, right? And sometimes it's like your comfort zone screaming at you, right? Like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to like stretch. I don't want to like meet new people. I just want to be on the couch snuggled away. But I have to remember that we are still like in summer and fall. Like when it comes to winter, like nobody wants to do anything. Nobody wants to get out. It's freaking cold outside. And so having the mindset like, okay, we're going to do this now because we can't do it later is helpful, right? But I was texting Garrett. I was like, everything is so messy. Like I did decorate for fall last week, which is fun. But like our washing machine has been broken. So I've been hauling clothes to my dad's house to be washed, or, just regular dishes and cleaning. And as I said previously, like there's some things that honestly were just getting in the way. We weren't utilizing. We need to get rid of like old Tupperware containers. And, so on one hand, I was just like tired, but on the other hand, I was like, I have to take care of myself. And because it was like a short work week, I felt like I had to get more work done in a short amount of time. I also had my cousin's 18th birthday party this past weekend. So I was like, oh, I got to go to that. And so I was just like wore out. I was wore out. And that was like the pit, because I felt like I didn't have enough time to just be like stagnant, not stagnant. what do they call it when you're like at the doctor's and they're like, oh, do you sedimentary lifestyle? I needed to be a potato for a couple hours. And I tried to when I got home on Saturday before going to Hannah's, but it's funny. As soon as I get there, I was like having a blast, like laughing so much, and I forget about my tiredness. But Saturday night, I get home midnight, like I am tired. I'm hanging out and I'm like trying to go to sleep. Hey, I hope that you're enjoying today's podcast episode. Just a quick interruption to let you know that the Golden Hour Drip podcast has a monthly newsletter. You'll find podcast updates, upcoming events and information, and bonus content. If you haven't already, click the link in the show notes and join today. Now, back to the show. And for me, like being tired or not having enough time to just like be sedimentary, to like observe or allow my brain to work. We were traveling last weekend, and I will say, like, I did a great job setting myself up in the aspect, like, I didn't really have that much to do on Monday. On my day off, I did like transition the fall things to, or the spring and summer to fall. So that was like helpful, but I didn't have a chance to like recharge this weekend. It was more like an upbeat, moving very fast kind of month, but or week, I mean. And so at the happy hour on Friday, we were talking about our career goals, obviously, and then we were also talking about like new TV shows. And I didn't even realize, because I was so busy, that there is a new Selling Sunset season, and there is the new is it Secret Lives of Mormon Wives or something like that. I have been waiting for the show because I was there for the mom talk. Like I was on social media, I was doing TikTok, and honestly, okay, so this might be an unpopular opinion, but one thing I will say, Taylor is like one of the main moms, and she was really pushing for the show. And about 2 or 3 years ago, I want to say it was like more like 2, maybe it's been 3, maybe time has flowed that much. But there's a lot of controversy about Taylor, about her marriage, about her as a mother, and like she had some mental things. And honestly, like when the internet attacks you like that, I mean, who wouldn't crumble like that? And I'm not saying she crumbled. I'm not saying anything like that. But this girl had a dream. She wanted a reality show, and I remember hearing talks about someone saying, oh, like she's being so crazy, it's because she wants her own show, or this is a lie, and like all of these things, right? And this just like truly proves to me that you can do anything you set your mind to. Like, she was a mom in Utah posting about her life on TikTok, and you know what? She might have made some mistakes, and I haven't watched the Hulu season yet, but she made some mistakes, and you know what? She did the best she could, as we all are. Like, we're all trying the best we could. But now to have something come to fruition from social media, like, to me, that is absolutely insane. And it's incredible, right? Like, it's incredible to think that work that you put in or a dream that you had, like, it can come true. And so we were talking about I want to say it's the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, but that rhymes, and I don't think that's the actual title. But we were also talking about Dancing with the Stars, and Iona Mahler. I might be pronouncing her name wrong, but I love her. I follow her on all social media. She competed in the Olympics. She's so hilarious, so funny. She actually was on the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. She had like I think like an online cover, but iconic. She posted some of the photos on her page. Beautiful, stunning. Like, and just like a really powerful woman. I love it. But she's on Dancing with the Stars, and you know who else is on Dancing with the Stars? Anna Delvey. And I did not watch Anna Delvey's documentary. I have seen stuff on social media, right? Anna Delvey wanted to be famous so bad, right? Like she's admitted this herself. And if you go and like look, like, because I've seen like TikTok things, and who said it's true? Okay, this is all my opinion, guys. But if you take Anna Delvey and all the things that she did, it was because she wanted to be famous. She like said she had money, but did she really have money, right? Like, and she had a dream. She wanted to be famous. And here she is on Dancing with the Stars. She is supposed to be on house arrest. And guess what? They released her for Dancing with the Stars. She has her ankle monitor, but she's still performing. She is still on TV, and she essentially got her dream. She got her wish. Did she have to go to prison? Yes, she did. But guess what? Like, if you have something on your heart, you absolutely can achieve it. You absolutely can do it. And I feel like there's just so many people who are like really making moves. So with this past weekend and things, I was like, oh gosh, like I'm doing this, I'm running around. And while that is so good, like I love to do that. Okay. Like I love to meet with friends. This evening, I'm like, you know what? I am not doing a thing. I carved out time this morning to clean, to throw out things, to just like get everything cluttered. You know what? I think I was a little overstimulated. Maybe it was the dirty dishes. Maybe it was the onset of everything we had in our cabinets. But I need a clean slate. And sometimes we need that. We need to like clear out all the old and welcome in the new. And so I was trying to do that. I was welcoming in the new. We're only the first week of September in. And I think that like constantly evolving and constantly like giving yourself like a new start can be so good. But this evening, after I'm done talking to you, I am fully planning on posting up on the couch and watching Hulu or Netflix. I don't know if I'm going to start with Selling Sunset or if I'm going to start on Mormon Wives or what I'm going to do, but I need some time to myself, right? And I love talking with people. I love talking to you right here. I love being on the mic, and I'm so appreciative of you listening, right? But sometimes I feel like we need to turn off the noise. We need to shut down our laptops, shut down our iPads. And I know that I said this evening, I'm turning on the TV and I'm going to watch reality show, right? But even watching a show, like having undivided focus for a show can be really fulfilling, right? This past week, we watched what is it called? It was one of Garrett's picks, The Hobbit. We watched, I think 1.5 or maybe 2 Hobbit movies. And I did not have my computer because I've been working on my goals. Like, I know it wasn't a hobby, but my phone, my iPad, and my laptop were put away. Because if I'm on my iPad, if I'm on my computer, if I'm on my phone, I'm not sharing the experience with Garrett. And like being able to shut off all my devices by 6:30 helps me like be present with him, be present with our dogs, be in our home, right? Share experiences. And so even though I was watching The Hobbit with Garrett, and this is not like my first pick at all whatsoever, just like being there, being present and watching this, I couldn't help but noticing the dialogue was so much longer. And I've also been noticing this with Gilmore Girls, because I've been watching Gilmore Girls in the morning when I'm like having my coffee, beginning my day. The dialogue between characters is kind of long in comparison. And it reminds me of like book dialogue, right? Like when you have two characters talking, it could be a couple pages, but sometimes like we don't get that longer dialogue that is more expansive. And I know some people like love or hate Gilmore Girls. Okay. I get it. Okay. But I can't help but like notice how things were like filmed or produced in the past in comparison to now, and how there's like so much dialogue, honestly, and I do like it. I do love it, but I am ready to just like relax and sit down and not. I'm still going to be consuming tonight, right? But hopefully on the days where I'm working on my t-shirt quilt, because I've pulled out my tote, I am going to be working on finishing it. I am 4 years post grad for college, which is insane. I am 8 years post grad for high school, and I have 2 very large totes that have t-shirts in it that I've been saving it. If I'm not going to cut them up, well, when am I going to cut them up? So that's my focus for this fall and for this winter, is to like snip up some shirts, do some cutting, and sew them together to make a little quilt, right? Like to actually utilize it, because if I'm not utilizing something, I'm going to be throwing it out, right? Like I just purged my entire kitchen. So having that mindset and leading with that mindset, I know that when I carve time out to do something, when I have my goal, I'm actually going to be doing it. But I find my brain just like works out problems in a way that is unreal in comparison to if I'm playing a podcast or I'm playing my iPad or I'm constantly consuming content. I have to think to myself like, oh, like when was the last time I just didn't consume content or didn't have my attention brought to something else, right? And that's why I do love meeting with friends, because it's my real life, right? Like, and as watching like Gilmore Girls, I'm like, man, like sometimes they do watch movies, but they only watch movies on a special night. They're only watching movies when it's like Friday night or a special occasion, or they go to the movies. And other times they're living their life, they're meeting with people. And I think to myself, like, how much am I like watching other people's lives instead of like living my own life? Like what do I have to talk about? What can I connect with the person on? How can I have a new adventure? And I think back to like when I was 14 and I wanted a car. I couldn't wait to turn 16. I wanted to be able to drive wherever I wanted. I wanted to be with my friends. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to be running around. And I think, oh my gosh, like I'm in this peak, right? Like I am coming into adulthood. I'm coming into the best time, the formative years, if you will. And I'm asking myself, like, am I really utilizing these years to the best of my ability? Can I be honing in a new craft? That's why like this past week, I tried a new recipe. I tried a new coffee cold foam. I made sourdough this week. I'm just like trying to put it in perspective for like the hobbies that I do. 'Cause sometimes I get frustrated that I'm not doing enough. I think that I want a lot of my time to be productive, and I'm always thinking, how can I be like adding something to my social club? How can I be, creating content for my podcast? How can I be doing this? How can I be doing that? And I'm really trying to think about the areas that are more like holding me back than moving me forward. Like it's not adding to my life. It's just like kind of additional work at this point where it's like, oh gosh, like got a lot to do. And it's not actually like productive work that is going to fill me up in that way. So I don't know, like this weekend it was so much fun. I really enjoyed like hanging out with my friends, but like, and that again, that's like a goal, like not being on my cell phone, living my own life, like that's a goal. But like to be able to come home and just like kind of decompress, honestly, like decompress. I feel like I talk a lot, honestly. Like when I teach yoga, I'm talking. When I am hosting a meetup, I'm talking. When I'm podcasting, I'm talking. And so sometimes it's nice to just like get quiet. And I'm about to pull out some games, like some solitary games. I was also looking like, because Lorelai at in the Gilmore Girls, she has an inn, she like a little bed and breakfast, and they have like a game room, and also like they have a DVD stash. And so they were talking about how they thought one of the guests was like stealing DVDs, and she's putting like up a Monopoly and a Life game. But even then she's like, how's a game room? I'm like, oh my gosh, when was the last time I played Life? When was the last time I played Monopoly? And this past Sunday we did a pickleball meetup, which was so much fun, right? Like I love pickleball. 2 winters ago, and I can't believe it's been 2 winters, I signed up for a little like tournament, an intramural with the community center. And I thought it was going to be fun, which it was. In so many ways, it was so much fun. But it was competitive, and there was a lot of older individuals who practiced like 3 times a week, and this was like their physical activity, and they kicked my butt. Oh my gosh, me and my partner, we love to play, right? But this was our first time playing ever. And these pros, they were out there, they were kicking our butt, smashing the ball, definitely teaching us the rules. And it was a lot of fun, but it's been 2 winters. So I haven't played pickleball in a really, really long time, right? And even then I have like limited knowledge. But as we were like on the pickleball court, I started to like remember some things, and I let loose. Okay. There was no phone to be like, of course, okay, you guys know me. I love to take photos. I love to like snap away, take content, of course. But for a good 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, I slipped my phone into my side waistband, and I just played, and I ran around the course. I was having so much fun. I'm not necessarily like a competitive person. I just want to have so much fun. Like, I don't really care who wins, who loses. I want to have like a good volley. I want to like play off everything. Like, okay, yeah, it was out, but like, could you hit it? Like, could you like run and hit it even though it was like a weird swing? Like, I just find so much fun in that when you can like just play for fun. Of course, I know that keeping score is great, and we did keep score for the first round. And then afterwards, as we were waiting for like the team switch, I always say, and I get this from my dad, but after like we play a game, he always asks you, and this is usually a card game, but he'll be like, okay, you guys want to play like a sugar round? Like, it's not really like the full game. If you're playing like pitch or playing hearts or oh hell or anything, right? Like oh hell starts from 10 cards, then 9, then 8, then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. If we were playing like a sugar round, we'd start with like 5 cards and we'd play like a round. And so I like kind of love that. I always want to play like a sugar round, like play just for fun. And also like being ornery about it. Like, I literally mean play off everything. If you hit the little ball, the pickleball, and it goes haywire, like, I want to chase after it. I want to see if I can like get it back over, even if it's completely outside of the lines. Like, can you play off anything? And I think having more of like a childlike mindset when it comes to that, it makes it even more funner than to just be like, oh gosh, like, gotta play to win, gotta play for like the bets or whatever. No, I want to have so much fun. And as I'm like running around on this field, I just couldn't help but think, oh my gosh, like, this is so much fun. Why don't I play pickleball more often? And I was thinking about a couple past weekends where I'm like, oh gosh, like, I've been inside, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. And I just realized that I need to carve more time for myself to live my own life and to fill my own cup up and to do the things that make me happy. And I truly, like, when I'm looking back, because I feel like I've been in a very reflective mindset the past month, the past couple of weeks, where I'm thinking, okay, like, what is working, what's not working? And if I'm thinking about past lives, past seasons, if you will, because sometimes it truly feels like a different person. I was looking back at last May 2023, and I was looking at my hair. It is blonde, my guys. It is so blonde. And now I looked at like this May, my hair was my natural color, and it was also freaking short. I cut it off. And it's kind of like that was a whole different person, me with blonde hair. And this isn't saying that I'm like never going to bleach my hair again, but it's like eras. It's like these little pinpoints of time where you can look back. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, like so much has changed since that May to this May, or the May previous to that May. And May is just like one thing, but it could be anything, right? Like it just so happened it popped up on like my photo memories or whatever. But I was just thinking, what made me unhappy in those seasons, and just being like proud of myself for eliminating some of those things that like don't make me happy. So I'm looking at like what I do with my life right now and how I'm spending my time. And I think, oh my gosh, like this is what I dreamed about. These are the things, even though I don't think that my life is perfect in some ways, I do know that like I'm on the right track to getting what I want, right? Like I love an ease of morning. I love to wake up. I love to grab my cup of coffee. I love being outside. I want to go for a little walk. I want to soak up the sunshine. I thrifted a mirror this past Tuesday and I got it for $4. This is like a big mirror. And it's of course like the orange stain is on it. And so, I put like the orange goop on it to remove the stain, and, it has to set for like 24 hours. So I picked up this mirror on Tuesday. I let the stain sit on it Friday, and then Saturday morning, this was Saturday afternoon, in between teaching a yoga class, in between my cousin's 18th birthday, and right before going to a paint and sip, I stripped off the like stain of the mirror. And as I'm like scrubbing, I'm like, it really is like a beautiful day. And I'm scraping away at the wood, and then I gave it a good bath, and I was scrubbing on it. And I was just thinking, you know what? Like, I really am so happy. Here I am. It's a Saturday. I think it was like 3:00. But in the past, like I actually like had to work a full Saturday. It wasn't a full, it was a half day. It was when I was working at a bank, but I had to usually come in at like 7:20, 7:30, and then I'd get done at 12. And I would have to deal with customers all day. And I was salary at the time. So my Saturday hours didn't really count for my salary, which was frustrating. Like I wouldn't actually like leave early for any of the other days, which is heinous, I know. But if I didn't have anybody to work and I was the manager, I would have to go in. So like working a Saturday in the past was like really draining and like not fun. And I was just thinking about like this Saturday, how I was able to wake up. I had my coffee, and honestly, like Garrett has been making me an egg scramble with potatoes. So good. I've been having it every day for a month and a half. I drank my coffee, and then I drove to yoga. And yoga honestly is so fun to teach and to take too. But like seeing my students that are regulars and talking with them and teaching my class and teaching on theme and doing those things, it's really fulfilling. And then I came home, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to grab lunch, and then did the birthday lunch, and then came home, and I was like, I'm scraping on this mirror. I have nowhere to be. My paint and sip is not until 7:00. And I was really appreciative for the hard things, hard conversations I had to have, the sacrifices I had to make, the hard pivot, right? Like disappointing people that you love. And as I'm scraping away, I was just thinking, wow, like this is really special and good. And it makes me happy to know that I haven't lived all of my happiest days yet. Like when I think back to those times and all the memories that have came in between then to now, and to think, oh my gosh, like I'm going to have so many more memories in the future. It was just really fun to put it in perspective that way. And I think I'm just like in my things are coming to me. I don't necessarily have to not track them down, like chase after them. Although like I think working towards a dream is really important. I am more in my, if it's meant to be, will be era where running late is something I hate to do. I don't want to run late. But I want to give myself enough time to get there instead of like trying to do too much. So on Friday, I left, I think 10 minutes later than I needed to leave, but I just reminded myself because I was trying to make sourdough for my mom and stepdad that were coming down to pick up the trailer from hauling the cow. And as I was like doing that, I was like, you know what? It's okay that I'm going to be just 10 minutes late. And guess what? It worked out for me. Most everybody was just a little late. And then on the Sunday, I was making biscuits and I brought my peach jam and my plum jam. And I was like, okay, I did clean the house. And it wasn't that I was trying to do too much. I was just like more like calm about everything. I wasn't rushing around. And maybe it's because I saw a TikTok. It was like the best way to reset your nervous system is to go slower. And it was like showing her brushing her teeth fast and then like slowing down, like having the intention, like you don't have to do things so speedy, so fast. You can allow some gaps. You can allow like a little bit of space, a little bit of time. And I've been incorporating this into my yoga class. And I've also noticed that as well. Like, I don't have to go so fast. I don't have to go crazy. Like, let them experience the yoga class. And maybe it's because I don't want any dead space. I want to fill everything like when I'm talking to you right now. But it's like, okay, like I am just going to do my best to center my nervous system. And if that means going a little bit slower, if that means like not rushing out the door, like I loaded everything so nicely in my vehicle and, I had like I made biscuits. And so I had like lined my, little wooden basket with a orange towel. And then I had my white and black towel with little pumpkins on it. And I arranged it just perfect. And I got into my vehicle and I was going to be 15 minutes late. And again, like I want to be on time. It's not that. I did send a text to the host. I was like, hey, like I'm going to be running behind 15 minutes. And you know what? Like that's okay. It wasn't like a strict time. It wasn't like we had to get on anything or doors would be closing. It was just like an intimate gathering at a home. But to be like, all right, like we are letting things come to us and being okay with things taking a little bit longer time. And again, it's like having more dialogue. Like in Gilmore Girls or having more content or more space to just like do the thing instead of like chalking full my schedule where it's like, okay, 7 to 9, I'm doing this, which I still like quadrants. I still like having deliverables for those different things. But instead of putting like 5 things, putting only 2 things, and those 2 things are going to help me move the needle more than if I had diluted focus and was trying to do like 6 different things. Because when you can dial in your focus, like we are completing this thing, or we are sewing this t-shirt quilt, or we are watching the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, whatever it is. If you are able to just like get so specific and just focus on that thing, you are going to have a more impactful, more intentional experience than if you were like, oh, I'm going to try and edit this and then also like try and watch that and clean the house and watch the dogs and make supper. Like, when you stack so many things on top of one another, you don't allow your brain to think. You don't allow the space. You're not allowing like moments for that specialness. And I truly think it's like leaving a table open. And I just watched the episode of Gilmore Girls where Rory is planning an event, and she's like, yeah, like, her boyfriend's parents came, but they're kind of rude. They didn't RSVP. And she's like, oh, I guess I can like stick them at this table because it's an empty table. And I was thinking, we can use an empty table in our own life. Like, if we save an extra hour, we can use that extra hour for something special to pop up. So I don't know what you're doing this week, but save an extra table, save the space, save the time for something impromptu to pull up. Because when you allow yourself to say, hey, like this afternoon is for this specific thing, but having an extra table, like if you have some plans that pop up, I just think that's so special, and also just like a good mindset to have. So thank you so much for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, all of the things, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.